Dun, 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 dun. Johnny the Greg on a special Halloween edition. Mr. Hopper, how are you, sir?
Mm, fine.
Why don't you tell the good people out there, in case they're not caught up on their Stranger Things, who are you?
I'm Hopper. Character made popular by David Arbor, great actor.
Great
He's
actor.
actually he's done like a lot of others. Everybody knows him from Stranger Things,
Right.
and maybe the not so great Hellboy movie. I'm just saying not so great because I haven't seen it yet, but I'm going to. But I have a feeling I'm gonna like it. So
I think so too. I actually saw a small preview that I didn't bother. I'm gonna adjust my head every now and then.
go ahead,
Well,
just
this mask, if anybody likes it, is brought to you by SPFX Masks. You can find them online. The masks are a bit pricey. This was bought in my youth, and I haven't pulled this out in about, God, it has to be about 7 years. But I thought, hey, why not now, right?
it sure cost me $20 at Spirit Halloween store, and I might wear it out just cause.
I think it would look good. I think it would look good. All right, sir. So we're going to do a Halloween special. Both you and I love Halloween. It's something
Mm-hmm.
we've always been a part of. I remember you coming to my house back in the Wonder Lake days, where we had the
Yeah.
cops called on us, and I thought we
Uh,
were in trouble, and he was coming over to congratulate us on such a great night.
and give us beer.
Yep, that's true. That's true. So whoever that officer was, we salute you. Thank you very much, sir. All right. Greg, why is Halloween like give me a Halloween favorite memory of yours? Like why do you like the holiday so much?
Oh wow, I love dressing up. I think it's fun. I think it's you could do some really cool stuff. It's a nice way to kind of like I don't know, just pay homage to the stuff that you like and kind of be a kid again. I mean, when you're a kid, it's fun, and then when you're too old to trick or treat or something like that, which in my opinion, you're never too old to trick or treat. I would have adults come to my house like with their kids, but if the adults are dressed up, they're getting a piece of candy from me because if you put in the effort, you're gonna get some.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so uh, yeah, it's just I don't know. I think it's just fun, and even if you're not really big into like the spooky stuff, the scary stuff, the horror stuff, I think there's enough out there that people can have fun with. So
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think you hit it right on the head there. It's a chance to like be a kid and relive in that magic, you know,
hmm
and just oh god, man, I love Halloween so much. It's like this. What I really like about it, I feel like it's the start to the holiday season. Believe it or not, you transition
it is
into
now.
yeah, you transition to Thanksgiving, and then you move on to Christmas, and then life sucks.
Well, that used to be the case, but now we go from Halloween to Christmas, and we kind of skip over Thanksgiving altogether. So
Yeah, you're right.
I was in a retail space yesterday. They have Christmas stuff out. We were checking out the Hallmark ornaments. My daughter was super excited about getting Christmas trees. So yeah.
Cool. All
hmm
right, my friend. So there's a lot to
What
do.
about what about you? Why do you like it?
Why do I like Halloween?
Yeah.
Again, I think, like you said, you hit it on the head. It's a time. It's that time, or it's that one time a year where you can relive and be a kid again. You can dress up. I'm a big fan of scary movies. Not so much blood and guts, but
Right.
horror, creepy. I'm into, not
hmm
disturbing.
Right.
Yeah,
No,
that's not my type
I
of
get that.
scary movie.
I'm
But
not a
it
I'm not
goes.
a buckets of blood kind of guy, but if there's a little, I'm okay. And as long as it's just a good movie.
I agree. I agree. So speaking of movies, great transition.
Yeah.
What are some movies that you watch around Halloween to get yourself in
That,
the mood?
whew, that beer's getting to me. Well, I'll tell you what. And we've talked about this a couple of times. I have another project that I am a part of called thepullbox.com, and we cover independent comic news and reviews, but then pretty much just all things in the geek genre space. And through our Instagram account, which you can find us on Instagram by going at the Pullbox, I've been doing 31 days of horror, and I've been alternating between movies and like graphic novels and comics that just really get me into that holiday or the Halloween.
I've been following it. Yeah.
So it's been a lot of fun. When I first kind of said I was going to do it, I talked to the rest of the writing team, and I'm like, I don't know if I have enough to really fill 31 days. And then they all laughed at me and they said, you have more than enough to fill 31 days. And they were totally right. So the first movie I watched to really get me into the Halloween season is that I watched 28 Days Later.
Good flick.
Danny Boyle, I can't remember the year on it, but it was sometime in the last decade. And took kind of that zombie genre and twisted it a little bit. They weren't zombies anymore. They were regular people, but they had what was called a rage virus. Right. And that virus, as soon as it hit you, you could feel it coming on. The transformation took about 30 seconds. You puked up some blood, your eyes started bleeding, and then you were just ready to beat the crap out of anything that was in front of you. And it didn't matter if it was a family member, it didn't matter who it was, but you were just enraged. And then the main character wakes up, very, very Walking Dead-ish, wakes up in the hospital. He's like, he doesn't know where anybody is. He's set in London, and just starts walking around. And his first interaction is at a church where they kind of all pop up, and they're like, oh, someone's here. And then they start running after him. It's a great movie. Great movie.
Yeah, I agree. It was one of my favorite movies. The one that I have to watch every year, or it doesn't feel like Halloween without it, is John Carpenter's first original Halloween.
Yep, that's another great one.
There is not a better movie that kicked off a genre of the slasher flicks. And what's amazing to me is I think there might be 5 drops of blood in the entire thing.
Well, it was all environmental, yeah.
Oh yeah, the music and him hiding in the shadows and him not running towards somebody, but him stalking and just casually walking as Jamie Lee Curtis is freaking out, trying to please open the door, and he just keeps coming and coming. Oh man, it still gives me chills. What about you? What's another one that gets you in the mood?
Oh gosh, kind of 1980s cheesy horror film, but do you remember Fright Night? And I'm talking about the one
I do. Yes.
82, 83 maybe.
Yeah.
A lot of I would say almost unknown 80s actors. I mean, they've gone on to have done other things. But it is cheesy. Like you go back and watch it now and you're like, wow. But for the time, and I watched it as a kid. I probably watched it before I should have. And it was terrifying to me as a kid.
Yep, I was scared to death.
When is it Evil Ed? When he eventually goes into Roddy McDowell's apartment and he's a vampire, and he starts to change, and you see their mouth just kept getting bigger and bigger, and the fangs were getting bigger and bigger. As a kid, I was terrified. I watched it a couple weeks ago, and you're like, that's a whole lot of latex they got on a kid. But no, it's just fun. Another just fun movie that I found scary as a kid, and now I just find it entertaining as an adult.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of a lot of latex, I got to take this mask off. It's killing me. So hang on a second.
All right. He's still watch Jenny.
This thing is
peel
just
his
murder.
face off. Oh, do that on camera.
Okay. Woo. All right. I'm back. That was hard, man. Did I lose you?
And you're not as muffled. No. We saw you duck behind there, but
yeah. Okay. Cool. So yeah, Fright Night. That when I was a kid, I agree. I think I saw that way, way, way too young. And I remember that Evil Ed scene where where he was going to go kill the vampire. What was it?
Mm-hmm.
Vincent something or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
it could be wrong. I'm gonna look it up.
I remember watching that with my mom because we kind of did my mom was the one that introduced me to Halloween, and she made she had a lot of fun with it, and so I kind of picked that up from her. But we watched Fright Night, and those were one of the movies that had a major effect on me. Like, I was scared to death at the finale when he's right when they walk in the house and the vampire has his fingernail on the banister and he's carving up the wood as he's walking.
Oh, uh-huh.
Oh
Yep.
man, that just gave chills to me. I to this day, I don't know about to this day. I haven't seen that movie in a while, but I bet you it's pretty cheesy now.
It is. And it was Jerry. That was the name of the, because I remember watching it as an adult, and I'm like, really? The vampire's name is Jerry?
Oh, it was Jerry? Well, it was
Jerry.
Barlow, right? I thought it was Barlow.
No, it was Jerry Dandridge.
Oh. Oh, Barlow was the vampire from Salem's Lot.
That could be. And that was a movie I watched early high school or like late middle school.
Yeah.
Like when you're starting to not be as scared at horror movies.
Right.
You start to enjoy them more. But the scene of the kid floating outside the window and he's like, let me in.
Yeah.
Let me in. Yeah. Come on, let me in. And then the kid opens the door and then he like floats through and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
So,
that
creepy.
was creepy. Absolutely. Another one of my favorites. Again, my mother introduced this to me, probably again at the wrong age, was The Shining.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. That's on my list as well.
Yeah.
Great film. And
Yeah.
I really wanted, because they have a sequel that's coming out.
Dr. Sleep?
Dr. Sleep.
I am so excited to see that.
Excited to see it. Don't know if I'm going to see it in the theater because I've heard it is complete nightmare fuel.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh,
and I'm very interested in it. It's had a resurgence with like Ready Player One and things like that. That film, The Shining, was prominent in that film. But even just going back, I was at Halloween Horror Nights down in Universal Studios a couple of years ago.
You lucky dog. That's my bucket. That's my bucket list.
I was there for work. I wasn't at Universal Studios for work. I was in Orlando for work, and I was attending a conference. I got there like super early flight. The conference didn't start till the next day, and I'm like, oh, what am I gonna do? Sit around and do nothing all day? So I looked and I'm like, I've never been to Universal Studios, so I went. And while I was there, they're like, well, would you like to stay for Halloween Horror Nights? And I went, what's that? And then they explained how they like shut down the park. It's an extra ticket, but they changed the whole park into like a Halloween themed. And they had me a Halloween themed. I'm like, yes, please.
Yeah.
The first haunted house I went through was The Shining, and it was great. I mean, it was just so much fun. And that's such a classic horror movie. Like back when Stephen King movies were terrifying.
Yeah, you're right.
And just good. Just super good.
And that's the first time I really understood acting was from Jack Nicholson. Like that was the first time I actually understood like, oh, wow, this Jack guy is terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I've heard horror stories of Stanley Kubrick, the guy that directed that, and the painstakingly detailed he would get about his movies, where people would do like 100 takes.
Shelley Duvall. Shelley Duvall was an unknown actress. He like picked her up, like he saw her in a play somewhere, I think, and she was really not interested in acting at all. But he cast her in The Shining, and then like 130 takes of her being terrified, of like the screaming, the crying, the 100 plus takes, that the emotional toll that has to take. And she did a little bit of work after that, but for the most part she left acting. Like she's like, I want no part of this.
Well, didn't she say like that had a huge impact on her, like, and not in a good way? She's filming that. She
is unwell. I'm not going to say that she was totally mentally stable before she made The Shining. I don't know, but I know after she made The Shining, she has struggled with a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Damn.
Too bad, but yeah.
Yeah. What's one of yours after The Shining?
Let's see. For movies, I've always been a big fan of the Evil Dead series. specifically Evil Dead 2. The first Evil Dead was almost like Sam Raimi's student film.
Mhm.
And it shows. Like, if you go back and watch it, it shows. Now, Evil Dead 2, they should have just called it, like, it really was a reboot before they were doing reboots.
Yeah.
Because it opens up with our main character, Ash, going back to a cabin in the woods with his girlfriend. And if you think about it, you're like, why would he go back to that cabin again
Right.
after killing him the first time? But he's acting like the first movie never happened, because in his mind it never did. There's like a weird time jump, and they tried to explain it away with time and stuff like that. But the reality of it is, it's a reboot. So,
Right. Okay.
and
Interesting.
it's, again, fun, kind of gross. My wife will not watch it. She was made to watch it at a like elementary school slumber party. Like,
What?
yeah, like, it was one of those where the parents went upstairs and they said, watch wherever you want. And so girls at the party said, we're going to watch Evil Dead 2. So she has the visualization of where the eyeball pops out and, like,
Yeah.
across the screen. And to her, it's like the most gruesome thing she's ever seen. And I'm like, sweetheart, if you were to watch it with your adult eyes, it's really not that bad. Can't get her to do it. She
Wow.
will
I will not watch, and I won't watch it simply because of the trailers. The trailers gave me the it's what I talked about, where I'm not into disturbing horror films. I'm not into that. And when they showed the remake of Evil Dead with
no.
yeah, that looks like they tried to make you as uncomfortable as possible.
Yeah.
I won't go into a lot of it. I will tell you the parts that turned me off right away was when I believe a tree rapes a girl, which I'm not into any of that.
Nope.
That's that uncomfortable realm that I'm in, that I don't want any part of. And then I think they show a sign where this girl's literally cutting her tongue, and it just looked, yeah,
It's
and
like bifurcating her own tongue with like
yeah, and
blade.
right when I saw that in the red trailer preview, I was like, I'm done. I don't need to see it. I don't need to see, like, if they're showing that, what aren't they showing that's gonna freak me out? So
Right.
yeah, not a fan of that one. But the Evil Dead 2, I thought was just funny. It was just funny to me. So it wasn't like it was like a goofy Halloween movie to me. So
It's got a lot of comedy in it. It does.
yeah,
And Army of Darkness, which was the follow-up, has even more comedy in it. I wouldn't even call that a horror movie. It's
I wouldn't
like
either.
comedy.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Yeah.
What I will say, I'm going to bring up a movie that, because we brought up comedy, we brought up horror, and how some of those like to meld together. One of the best ones, I think, that ever did it was Shaun of the Dead.
You know what? That's a great one. Yeah, you're right.
I love Shaun of the Dead because it starts off, it's, you laugh, and then you're like, oh, it's a zombie apocalypse and they're running for their lives. And then they hit you, they pepper you a little bit with some horror or with some comedy. And then it takes a real serious turn. And then there's a little bit more comedy. And then it takes another serious turn. And then at the end, when they're stuck in the bar, and it's like, this is it. And you're seeing like one of the main characters is completely torn apart. And they did not shy away from the camera work there. I mean, it's like, here it is. And I don't know. I just thought it was a very well done comedy horror film.
Yeah, it's a classic for sure. Another, if you want to venture down the zombie path, another, I think, a really good one is dang, what's that called? The Zack Snyder film that
Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead. It's a remake of, I think, George Romero's Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead.
And they did it. He did an excellent job. He made the zombies almost like 28 Days Later, where they're fast and they're aggressive. And
fast moving zombies. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's this one scene. Did you see that movie by chance?
Oh, many times, yeah.
Okay. There's that one scene when they're running, like the zombies found a way in through the parking system, and they're running up the staircase.
Uh-huh.
And there's this one scene when they're trapped because the jerk of the movie locked the door on them or something like that. And they turn around and you see the zombies like crawl around like the railing, and they're just sitting there, and it's like they're looking at them like an animal, like, I got you trapped, I'm about to tear you apart. It gave me the chills. I was like, whoa. Another film that another genre of this type of Halloween movies that you and I both like is and I think it's one of the main things you need to do to get in the Halloween mood is a good werewolf movie.
Yes. Yes.
You got one?
Absolutely. Well, I always go back to the classic of American Werewolf in London.
Classic.
I just think again, it's got some comedy elements. I think especially for the time. So
Yeah.
I think that was 77.
I think 78, 79, if not 80.
I don't think it was 80. American Werewolf in London. David Nottington is. Oh, you're right. It is 81. Wow. Further than the 80s. But for at the time, like that transformation scene of David Nottington turning into a werewolf in the house. It's John Landis, and he just lets that scene play. Like he doesn't do a lot of cutaways. It's not like, oh, this is going to happen in the shadows. They just let it go, and I believe they won an Oscar for that film for
special effects.
Best special effects, and it was. I'm looking it up on my Instagram right now.
You know what? What also added to that was the song that was playing as he's transforming. I will never not think of that scene every time I hear that song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Rick Baker with special effects, and he did win an Oscar for it.
There you go. Yeah. Great creepy movie too. It's one that gives you kind of a whoa. Mm-hmm. I'm with you on the American Werewolf in London. After that, you kind of go through some. I always like Silver Bullet. I haven't seen it in a long time, so it might not live up to.
It's Gary Busey just being Gary Busey, just that drunk uncle kind of guy. I always get my
Corey Haim is it Corey? Is it Corey Haim?
I want to say it is. I get my Corys confused.
Oh, I don't. I know. Oh. Okay. It's not Feldman, so it is Haim then.
Okay.
For sure. Yeah. The other one that I don't know if you're this, but this is how I got introduced to Halloween was my mom would stay up late on a Friday night or Saturday night and watch classic Universal monster movies like Frankenstein, Dracula, the original Wolfman, which is still a really good movie.
Yeah, Lon Chaney, those.
Yeah. And those, and I think it was Saturday after Saturday morning cartoons, you slipped right into Svengoolie, who's still on.
You did Svengoolie. I did not get. You're from the Chicago area, so you got Svengoolie, not up by me, not up in the Wisconsin.
Oh, you poor guy.
So I had to stay up late and just pick up Elvira, which I was more than happy to do.
Oh yes. I don't. I take that back. Not poor you. That was wow. There's some stories between Elvira.
Yep.
Another one, if you want to transition into kind of the work that kids could watch, but they could get a good scare, but they wouldn't get terrified, is Disney's the cartoon version of Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, with Ichabod Crane, and I thought that was a really good one. I always watch that one because that just takes me back to being a kid.
Mm-hmm. Are you going to try to do that with yours when she gets old enough? You do the kind of classic Disney Halloween type movie?
Yeah, I think I'll do Nightmare Before Christmas. Actually, I guess you could that's almost a Topic Thunder question. Is that a Christmas movie or a Halloween movie?
It's both. In my house, it's both. Yeah,
it's both. Yeah.
When we did the Die Hard Christmas movie, and we kind of came up with our qualifications. Yeah. It meets all those qualifications plus the qualifications for a Halloween.
Yeah, as I'm thinking about it, you're
right. So big fan of the 1987 teen monster movie, The Monster Squad. Did you ever?
Oh my God, that was amazing.
So Wolfman's got nards.
I totally remember that. Yeah.
It was.
I gotta watch that again, man.
It's streaming somewhere. I can't remember. I think Hulu has it streaming right now.
Okay.
And so it had a resurgence not too long ago. I remember the Alamo Draft House down in Texas got the original cast back together. They would watch it and interview the cast and whatnot. And then it came out on DVD, and my buddy Eric got it, and I was like, all right, can I borrow that? Because I want to watch it again. I want my kids to watch it. And that's when I realized that the rating system was very different back then. So
Really?
Oh, I'd put it in, and I'm like, well, maybe because my kids were even.
What was it rated? PG-13?
I want to say, yeah, it was PG-13 in '87.
Okay.
But just the language we used was very different. So, I put it in, I started watching it, and it's got some creepy moments in there. I'm not gonna lie, but then there's one scene where the boys are coming out of school, and they hate their teacher, and so they're walking down the block, and I don't even know if I want to say the word because it's the F word that's like the N word for homosexuals. Follow me.
Yeah.
So and so they're like, he's a total. I'm telling you, man, and they're like going off. I'm like, you can't say that anymore. They're like, yeah, I'm not going to show this to my kids right now because I don't want to have to explain. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's a whole story in itself. If you look back on some of those even 60s, 70s, you can go even further back on how they viewed things or how they had white actors play Asian people or.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know this. I actually didn't know this because it never stuck to me and I never until somebody brought it up. But you remember Short Circuit?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. The Indian guy in there is an Indian. Yeah. I didn't know that.
What's his name? Parker. Oh, I cannot remember his name.
Right, but people would know him for anybody.
Fisher Stevens is his name. Fisher Stevens.
He's the psychiatrist that Phoebe was dating in the early episodes of Friends.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And he's I think like a New York Jew. I mean, just kind of like, and they made him a Middle Eastern man.
Right.
I have no idea how you get away with that. Even in, let's see, what year was Short Circuit?
I want to say 85, 86.
Short Circuit 2 was 88, so then probably 85, 86 for Short Circuit.
Yeah.
And you're going, really? I mean, and he's in brown face. He's in full on brown face, and you're going, oh, you can't do that anymore.
No, I didn't know. I didn't know until somebody told me that, and then I looked at it.
Is a huge fan of Fisher Stevens.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I had no idea, and then when I saw it, I thought, oh my God.
Yeah.
Going back to our Halloween watch list, one Halloween thing that I watch every year is Thriller from Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love I mean, we can go off on how that changed the course of music videos.
Oh, mini movies. Sure.
Yeah. They were that was awesome. That was a mini movie, yeah, for sure. And it's one of those fantastic things that it mixed together horror and music, and it all worked. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But
the dance is still pretty popular. Absolutely.
Yeah. For that, that's pretty much my little go-to to get in the Halloween mood. And then sometimes I'll watch a new one here. Oh, Trick or Treat. That came out.
I was gonna say the anthology films. You like Trick or Treat? I'm a big fan of the Creep shows.
Creep Show. That's a good one.
And again, those are totally cheesy and very latex, but I think they're just fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
The last one that really landed on my list, I'd say in the past decade, is kind of the meta horror film, like the horror film that knows it's a horror film and isn't taking itself too seriously. So it started
Cabin in the Woods.
I'd say it started with Scream, but Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
The film where it follows all the tropes of a horror film like a little too closely at first. Mm-hmm. And I went into this movie blind. I had no idea what it is.
Too.
Someone handed it to me and said, you're going to love this film. And I'm like, I don't do a lot of like slasher films. They're like, shut your mouth. You're going to love this film. And so I went and watched it, and I loved it. It was absolutely great. It follows the tropes. And honestly, if you haven't seen it by now, that's your fault. Go out and watch it. It ends up being like the whole idea of the horror film in America, the horror film in Japan. These are all setups, and there's purpose to them. and the way, like, when they enter the room, and depending on what object they grab is going to depend on what comes out and tries to kill them.
Right.
Thought that was great. It was so much fun.
Yeah, no, it's that was a great movie. There is a YouTube channel called Found Flicks that breaks that movie down. Terrific. That guy does a great job. I watch all of his stuff. A movie that I battle with myself, because here's the thing with horror movies, I pretty much only watch them during this time of year. Throughout the year, I'm not interested, and I'll take notes. And Google's a great thing because I go horror movies of 2017, and then I can find them and then watch them. But the one that I'm wrestling with is Hereditary.
Yeah,
I'm wrestling if I should watch that or not. I mean, I pretty much know it, but I don't know if that's going to get me creepy and then go into really uncomfortable.
I know it's supposed to make you uncomfortable. Like, that's the point of the film. I haven't watched it. I really don't know what's going on in the film other than the creepy girl is in there, and Toni Collette, who I love as an actress.
Yeah.
But I just haven't brought myself to watch it. There's Hereditary. There's Mother is another one.
Yeah. And
there's one more with
Midsommar.
Midsommar, yeah. Like those three films, kind of, they look like they're the same almost style of film.
It's the same director.
Is it? Okay, good.
Yeah,
that would make sense to me.
Yeah.
And are they all A24 films? The studio.
I believe so. Yeah.
I like a lot of what A24 puts out, but again, not being a super fan of the horror genre. I like what I like, but if it starts, like you said, if it starts to cross over into that creepy, disturbing, like I want to watch a horror film and then be able to walk away from it, maybe have a conversation about it of how much you enjoyed it or didn't enjoy it. I don't want it to haunt me. Like that's
You're
not
right. You're right. I agree with you. I think why the 80s slasher movies were so popular was because they were fun. Nobody took it serious.
And they were absurd. I mean,
yes.
just the tropes in there are ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I guess that's part of it.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at my screen here, and we're talking a little bit about kind of the shift in horror movies. I remember, and I think you'll know this one too, a vampire film that, or actually there's two of them. We talk about two vampire films that really changed vampire films. One was 30 Days a Night, which was based on a phenomenal comic series.
Yep.
The ending of the movie is very different from the comic series. Mm-hmm. I actually prefer the comic ending, but just the idea of vampires, they're visceral, they're bestial. It's not just, poke you in the neck, suck your blood. They're full on like consuming all of you. And they go to the most northern settlement or town in Alaska where it's dark there, like pitch dark, for 30 days.
Right.
And so vampires go, this is a buffet line. This is all you can eat all day, all night.
Right.
And so they go and they infiltrate the town, and they really do take out the entire town. And the way it ends, I don't need to talk about the way it ends. The way it ends in the movies, the sheriff injects himself, takes out the bad guys for good. In the comic, what I liked is that like the ruling vampire class, like their council, if you want to call it, they show up and they look at these other vampires and they're like, are you stupid? You don't think we thought of this before? You don't think we saw the opportunity? We didn't do it because when you take out an entire town, people notice.
Yeah.
And so their vampires like, we need to stay hidden. We can't take out all of mankind.
Right.
And so it was cool. It just really cool.
No, I agree. Go ahead.
The second one I really liked, and I don't know if you saw this one or not, it's called Daybreak with Ethan Hawke.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
You didn't like Daybreak?
No.
Why not?
I didn't. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know because it had everything that I would like. I just didn't like it. Maybe I caught it at a bad time and I need to rewatch it. I'm not sure. Usually, if I see a horror movie outside of that little zone I keep talking about where I only watch horror movies like September through November, then maybe The only one that I can ever remember where like that rule didn't apply was It. I thought It was
Okay.
fantastic. Yeah.
Well, I think Daybreak is on Amazon Prime and Hulu right now, so give it a
Okay.
look before the
Yeah.
season ends. What I love about that film is that it starts to answer the question of, hey, if vampires take over, like we're their food supply. They need to, they need to keep us in supply. And
Right.
when that starts to not happen, how their society starts to break down. And I thought that was great. It's got, like I said, Ethan Hawke, William Dafoe, Sam Neill, really great actors, and I thought it was just a fun movie.
Yeah. Hey, is those, I don't know what genre you call this, but the movie You're Next and the movie The Purge, are those horror movies?
I think so.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Your Next, but I want to.
You're Next is very good.
Wait a minute. Did I see Your Next?
It's where they wear the like the fox mask and the
Yeah, no, I didn't watch that one. Like on purpose, I didn't watch that one. I think you told me. But The Purge, which is Blumhouse,
Blumhouse. Yeah.
Blumhouse Productions. I like what he's done with horror films. I love Purge. I've liked all the films. The first season of the TV series on USA was phenomenal.
Really?
Couple.
You know what? I forgot about that. It was good. Like I forgot.
Oh, check it out. Yeah,
oh, wow.
check it. It's very good.
Okay.
And we're about, I want to say 3 episodes in, 3 episodes into the second season.
Yeah.
And what I like about this one is that, I mean, everything else is dealt with Purge Night.
Yeah.
Like what's happening on Purge Night. The second season, it starts on Purge Night at the end of it, and now we're into the rest of the year. Like what's happening during the other 364 days of the year.
Oh, that's an interesting viewpoint. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. And I'm very sucked into that. The concept of the Purge, even when I first read about it, I was like, oh, this is, I mean, because it's social commentary is really what it's going for, wrapped in a horror film.
Mm-hmm.
And as terrifying as it is, like if you're in an urban setting, I think the Purge is probably pretty true. If you're out in a suburban setting or even a rural setting, I think a lot of Purge Night is people doing work on their house without building permits. That's really what I think is what it would be. But that's just me.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, we've hit music, we've hit movies. Is there any type of like other like you touched on a little bit with 30 Days a Night, how it was originally a graphic novel.
Right. Yeah.
What else? Like, I'm not big on graphic. I mean, that one is such a popular one that I had to read it because everybody was telling me about it. What are some ones that I don't know about?
Oh, in the comic space, because that's what I know. There's one called American Vampire, put out by DC. And it's I'm going to look it up here just so I don't want to get anybody off.
While you're looking it up, I'm just going to explain to some people that I don't know how many people, when they hear graphic novels, what they think, but I used to think when I hear comic books or anything like that, I used to have there's like this little negative tag that goes along with it, or they think it's just Spider-Man and Batman and Superman and Iron Man, and it's not. There are a whole bunch of companies out there that have great stories, great artwork, and it's another medium of storytelling that if you're curious, pick one up. Barnes & Noble has this section of graphic novels that's not just your DC and your Marvel comics. It's a plethora of other novels that you should seriously pick up a couple.
I think what you're trying to hit at, and I'm only talking about this because I actually did a lot of research in this when I was doing my master's degree, which revolved around comics in the classroom. But the comic book is a medium. It's not a genre. People think of it as a genre. They think of it as, like you said, Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, the spandex superhero types. But when you think of it as a medium, like television or movies, there is so much space in there for different types of storytelling, different genres, that if you're looking down on it as kind of like a cartoon or a kid's book, then you really are missing out. And that really is like an American mentality. Like you go overseas to a lot of different places, especially Europe and Asia, graphic novels have been a major form of literature for them for decades.
Yeah, Japan, China, they're huge into it. Yeah, for sure.
You'll see adult businessmen that are, CEOs of companies, and they're reading manga is the name of it in Japan.
Yep.
They're reading it on the subway, and no one
absolutely. When I lived in Japan for about 6 weeks, I saw it frequently. People just sitting down having coffee, reading, or what I think tea, whatever. They were reading it for sure. Yeah, and it wasn't. And you're right. It wasn't. It was men in business suits, and it was women that you could tell they were just taking a break from whatever they were doing that day. Yeah, it's weird how everybody here looks at it as like in the 80s or when we were growing up, it was a nerd thing to do.
Right. Yeah. I dealt a lot with that in high school. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, first up, I want to talk about American Vampire from DC. It's their imprint called Vertigo. Scott Snyder is the guy I was trying to remember. He's the author.
Scott Snyder. Cool.
So what this is, it's kind of like a turn of the century type of vampire. So like it's a vampire western.
Yeah. American Vampire.
And it really, yeah, American Vampire. And really what it is like we've kind of separated our vampires in America right now.
You mean they don't sparkle?
Well, that's what I'm getting at. You've got like the romanticized, even like Lestat and the Anne Rice novels. You kind of like got the romanticized, very good looking, very charming type of vampire. And then you have kind of like that 30 Days a Night, which is I'm just going to rip your heart out kind of animalistic type of vampire. Yeah. And what this book does is that it really does bring the two together. I mean, you've got a guy who has been a vampire a long time, and he's starting to kind of come into the more civilized realm, and it melts it together very well.
Yeah, Scott Snyder, I actually like his work. I'm a big Batman fan, so he got me back into reading Batman when he took it over. So yeah, I just pulled it up and looking at some of the pictures. It looks pretty intense, so I might check that out for sure.
So the next one I would say, and this is kind of out of left field, it took everybody by surprise. So do you remember Archie? Like Archie comics, Archie, Jughead, Betty Veronica. Yeah. So those comics are still around and they're going strong. But the Archie company, they took it in a different direction, and they started a book called The Afterlife with Archie. And it started off, it's a straight up zombie story.
Or what? And Archie's a zombie, or
Jughead first, but
okay.
But yeah, it becomes a zombie story, and it is terrifying and phenomenal. Really? Wow. Yeah. So the whole like Afterlife with Archie universe, because they did the zombie story with Afterlife with Archie. They did another one, Vampironica, where Veronica becomes a vampire. They've got Sabrina the Teenage Witch, which they just took out of that cutesy style and brought it into like, oh no, it's full on Satanism and black magic. Yeah. And then they've got Jughead's a werewolf. I can't remember the name off the top of my head of the book, but all of them are great, and they're scary, they're gory, and it's just taking that classic characters and putting them in different scenarios, but they are phenomenal. Just absolutely.
Yeah, I gotta check that out.
Pick those up as trades. They're great to read as trades.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Anything else? What's some other things that I haven't heard of?
Well, okay. Here's
the Goon. The Goon's kind of a fun one.
The Goon is great. Yeah. Goon is very much in that kind of Hellboy area. Right. Where you got just a dude. The Goon is not a demon or anything like that. He's just a dock worker who kicks the crap out of supernatural things. But fun in that kind of noir, tongue-in-cheek kind of way. One called Lock and Key. It's written by Joe Hill. Do you know who Joe Hill is?
I do know who Joe Hill is. I just actually started learning who Joe Hill is. because he has a show on or it's based off of his work on AMC called Nosferatu.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I can talk about that at a later day, but I do know Joe Hill. He's the son of Stephen King.
Yep, he's got some good horror lineage there. He wrote a book called Lock and Key, and just it's classic kind of Lovecraftian horror set in New England.
Oh, wow. You want to talk about Far Out. Love that Lovecraft that dude. That I don't understand that. Like I don't understand, like for a while I thought, okay, is this real stuff or is this like, because there's like a huge following and they have like a book dedicated to all the monsters he created, and I thought, what the hell?
He wrote a ton.
Yeah. We're talking about H.P. Lovecraft, by the way.
H.P. Lovecraft, yep. And he was a macabre author. I want to say early 1900s, but it's probably still 1800s. Very prolific, wrote a ton of stuff. And I did hear somebody say recently that without H.P. Lovecraft, the world would probably not be familiar with Edgar Allan Poe. Like he kept that alive long enough.
You mean so
yeah.
other people were like, hey, this guy's good book. Oh, what's this Edgar Allan Poe?
He was like referencing them in his stories.
Oh.
I am one of the people that I honestly have never read an H.P. Lovecraft book.
Right.
But I saw a thing the other day. It's like most H.P. Lovecraft fans have never read an H.P. Lovecraft book. So I went out and I downloaded a bunch of them from Audible, and they're on my list to listen to after I get done with my current book. So
yeah.
So I'll get there.
All right.
The last one I would talk about is called Moonshine. So we were talking about werewolf books, and this is by Brian Azzarello and Eduardo Risso. And they had a book for a long time called 100 Bullets, where they kind of teamed up and big hit crime comic. They did one called Moonshine, which is werewolves during the Prohibition era.
Oh, cool.
And it was very fun, very gothy, gruesome, violent, but at the same time, and we talked about vampires kind of having those two pieces, the modern werewolf tale, like the Teen Wolf and some of the other one where werewolves have like, they hold on to their humanity or they're at least struggling with it.
Yeah.
And it's not so much of a curse anymore. This deals with more like the curse, like they're werewolves and they're tearing people limb from limb. But these werewolves are also, they're feeling the cursedness of it. Like, how do I get rid of them? I'm a terrible person, blah, blah, blah. So
yeah, you remember that show? Remember that show on Fox when Fox first started becoming a power channel, or I guess
you
a
mean
broadcast?
Werewolf?
Yes, I love that show. I love that show with Chuck Connors as a bad werewolf. I thought it was an interesting story. Like, to break the curse of the werewolf, you had to kill the one that bit you.
Mm-hmm.
So
I would
no, that wasn't it. No, you have to kill the bloodline.
I don't remember, honestly. I would love to, and I know you can get them at Comic Cons. There's like bootleg versions around and stuff like that, to see if it holds up. Because I remember being in elementary school, not really knowing what we were doing, but me and my friends, we love the show. We love the concepts of the show because none of our parents would let us watch it. But we were drawing pentagrams on our hands.
Oh, yeah.
That's like the sign of the wolf. And we're like, look. Yeah. And then one teacher called home. They're like, do you know your son is drawing witchcraft and devil symbols on his hand? And Mom's like, what? So, yeah.
For those of you that don't know what he's talking about, how the lead character knew he was turning into a werewolf that day was a pentagram would show up on his hand and it would bleed when he was like 5 minutes away from transformation. So it was just like one of those moments where he would look at his hand and the audience would be like, oh, it's coming. It's coming. You're going to turn into a werewolf. Yeah. So
do you remember did they show the werewolf often, or was it a lot of shadowy shots?
No, they did a great job. It was a full bodysuit.
Did they? I don't remember.
Yeah, it was a great
Uh,
and from what I remember, it was a full bodysuit and they had the stuntmen run on all fours.
did they?
Yeah. I mean
Okay.
the wolves would stand up and fight like another werewolf, like almost like fist fight,
Yeah.
but they would when they were running from like the bounty hunter or whatever, they'd have the stuntman running around like on all fours.
Because it was essentially like Incredible Hulk, right? Where he's going from town to town, kind of helping whoever he met in the town for that week,
Yeah,
while
exactly.
running running away from some kind of werewolf hunter or something.
Yeah, he was running away from a bounty hunter because they believe he killed his best friend, which he did, but his best friend was a werewolf. And
Okay.
and so he was traveling the world to try to find the bloodline because if he killed the werewolf that started the bloodline, he would not be cursed anymore. So he was looking for a cure, basically.
There's got to be a way to stream that
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah.
Not
I think
legally.
which I think I need to find that and watch that. Um, anything else, sir?
I don't know. We've covered a lot of movies, covered some
We covered
comics.
a ton. We have a ton. We usually do this on Topic Thunder, but I thought I'd throw in a Halloween fact that
Ooh,
maybe
okay.
not a lot of people know. Um, this might take a while, but the first one I looked at was that the Jack o' lantern comes from the Irish legend of Stingy Jack. Do you know the legend, sir?
I want to say yes, but I'm not going to recite it because I don't want to be wrong.
Cool. Then why don't you sit back, relax, pick up your beer, and enjoy the show. Legend has it that Stingy Jack invited the devil to have a drink with him, but Jack didn't want to play for the drink, or Jack didn't want to pay for the drink, so he convinced the devil to turn himself into a coin. Instead of buying the drink, he pocketed the coin and kept it close to a silver cross in his house, so the devil couldn't take shape again. He promised to let the devil go as long as he would leave him alone for a year. And if Jack died, that the devil wouldn't claim his soul. All right, so he tricked the devil into turning into a coin, right? And then he basically said, like, leave me alone for a year, and if I die, you can't take my soul. After that year, Jack tricked the devil again to leave him alone and not claim his soul. Basically, the devil is a really gullible guy in this story. When Jack died, God didn't want such a conniving person in heaven, and the devil, true to his word, would not allow him into hell. So Jack was sent off into the night with only a burning coal of light in his path. He placed a coal inside a carved out turnip and has been roaming the earth ever since. That's how we have
Okay.
jack-o'-lanterns, man. So that's a fact. Another one is, and I'm not going to read all this, but candy corn was originally called chicken feed.
Okay.
I never liked
Do you
candy
like?
corn. You like candy corn?
I'm not a not. I wouldn't say I liked it, like, but I remember there have been points in my life where if it's there, you're eating it, and you're like, why am I doing this? Like I
Yeah.
don't. I'm not. I don't really want it, but it's like just sitting in front of you, so you just eat it.
Yeah, I can't even get to that
That
point.
was
It's
bad.
disgusting. It's disgusting. To me, they're like the cheaps in our in for Easter.
Peeps.
Peeps. I hate those things.
Yeah.
Disgusting. Disgusting. All right, sir. That was our fact.
All
This
right.
was our Halloween special podcast. Anything you want to say before we leave?
Well, just because it is a project I'm working on, I encourage everybody if you are looking to read a comic but you don't really like that superhero genre, you're going to be looking at a lot of maybe independent or creator-owned stuff. So thepullbox.com would be a place to go for you to research a little bit, find something that you like, look at a title, and you can buy it off of Amazon right from our site.
Sounds good. What's that again?
Thepullbox.com.
Cool. We will put a link in the description below. Greg, happy Halloween, sir. Be safe out
Thank you
there.
very much.
Everybody else, be safe out there. Have fun. And try not to try not to trick anybody too much. Just Get the treat. Oh, and for those
Yeah.
of you that walk up to a place to get some candy and it says take one,
Take one.
take one.
Take one.
Okay? Don't be a jerk and take all the candy for everybody. Take one. That's my advice.
My advice on that is that most people have video doorbells now. So
Oh, yeah.
we had our trick-or-treating on Saturday, and more than a couple of videos were posted of kids filling up, and they're like, hey, I know who that kid is. So
there you go. All right, man. Thank you very much. This was a lot of fun. Let's keep doing this. I will see you next time for Topic Thunder.
Awesome. See you then.
All right, man. Take care.
Yep. Bye.